Good afternoon. Welcome back to 7 to 9 minutes in the Word of God. My name is Brian, one of the pastors at Converge Church in Omaha, Nebraska. The webpage, convergechurchomaha.org. Please like the Converge Church page on Facebook, and the YouTube channel is 7 to 9 minutes in the Word of God. I know it's been a while. I'm going to try to be more consistent after this, but I want to do one more episode on this war in Ukraine. It's still raging on. On February 23rd, 2022, Russia invaded the sovereign nation of Ukraine. Vladimir Putin thought the invasion, of course, would be easy. The Ukrainians would not put up fierce opposition, but that's exactly what's happened, though. This war has been described as a siege. Putin has no regard for the civilians of Ukraine. We've heard numerous reports of the Russian atrocities against the people of Ukraine. And yet Ukraine has resisted and has inflicted heavy losses on the Russian forces. Many nations around the world are supplying the Ukraine forces with ammunition and military support. In this episode, we're going to focus on the question. We're going to try to answer the question: is this war in Ukraine a just war? Is it a just war? A just war is a morally right or morally just war because it meets certain criteria. Sometimes violence is needed, it's necessary in our fallen and sinful world to protect the innocent and to love our neighbors. Of course, the best scenario is no war at all, but the unfortunate reality is that wars among nations and among people groups do occur and have occurred throughout history, as a matter of fact, and will continue to occur until Jesus comes back. Jesus said in Matthew chapter 24, verses 6 to 7, that before his second coming, we're going to hear of wars and rumors of war. Nation will rise up against nation and kingdom against kingdom. So, is the war in Ukraine a just war? Well, the answer is yes for Ukraine and no for Russia. So, what are the criteria for a war to be a just war? And we're going to look at some criteria here, which is based on the work of theologian Wayne Grudem. Dr. Grudem, by the way, was one of my professors at Bethel College a long, long time ago. So what are the criteria? Well, first of all, is it a just cause? Is it a just cause? In other words, is the reason for going to war a morally right cause, such as the defense of a nation? And thus it was morally wrong for Russia to invade a sovereign nation, but it was morally just and right for Ukraine to fight and to defend its nation and to protect the innocent. And so is there a just cause? Number two, is there competent authority? Is there competent authority? In other words, was the war declared by a competent and recognized authority within the nation? And so within the nation of Ukraine, the answer is yes. Ukrainian President Zelensky has led the nation with great courage, and he is going to go down in history as a great president. In contrast, Putin is self-absorbed. He's war-hungry. He's a thug with no regard for the innocent. A third criterion is there comparative justice? Comparative justice. In other words, are the motives and actions of the enemy, namely Russia, morally wrong? And are the motives and the actions of the attacked nation, namely Ukraine, in comparison morally right? And the answer, of course, to both those questions is yes. Let's move on to another one. Number 4, is there right intention? Is there right intention? Is the purpose of going to war to protect justice and righteousness? And for Ukraine, the answer, of course, is yes. But the answer for Russia is no. Russia's purpose is to rob and pillage and destroy Ukraine. But Ukraine is perfectly justified because they have the right intention in defending its border, defending its land and citizens. Number 5, is it last resort? Is it last resort? In other words, have all the other reasonable means of resolving the conflict been exhausted? And in the case of Ukraine, it was the last resort. I'm sure that's the last thing they wanted was to go to war, but they will do anything to defend its nation, especially against an attacking nation of Russia. A sixth criterion: is there a probability of success? Is there a probability of success? Is there an expectation that Ukraine can win this war? And I have to be honest, in the beginning, I wasn't so sure. I probably would have said no. But as this lingers on month after month, um, I think the expectation is higher, and it's probably going to depend on how the Western nations are going to continue to supply military resources to Ukraine. But is there a probability of success? Yes, yes. And then one more: is there a right spirit? Is there a right spirit? Was the war undertaken with great resistance and sorrow because of the harm that will result from it? And of course, with Ukraine, of course, is yes. It's the last thing they wanted. But with great sorrow and great reluctance, but with great courage, they went to war against this attacking nation of Russia. And of course, the answer is no for Russia. Russia invaded a sovereign nation and is seeking to destroy that nation. It was morally wrong for Russia to begin this siege of Ukraine. And again, for the Russians, the rules of engagement are completely disregarded because they're not separating combatants from non-combatants. The Russians are killing babies, children, women who are not fighting for the military, and the elderly. The Russians have bombed at least one maternal hospital, along with other hospitals, with schools. They've bombed residential areas. They've bombed places of worship, and even buildings known to house refugees. And on top of that, they have bombed the routes that refugees are using to escape the nation, even though Russia promised not to do so. They say one thing, but do just the opposite. And again, so this war for the Russians is completely unjustified. It is morally wrong, and it's going to add another evil stain to the historic resume of Russia. The Ukrainians need our support. And as a just war proponent, I support providing Ukraine with the military equipment so they can defend their nation and eventually drive the Russians out. Ukraine also needs our prayers. We need to be praying daily that this war comes to an end and that the humanitarian needs are taken care of and that the gospel spreads. They need our resources as well to help with the immense humanitarian needs. Now, if you're looking for a practical way to help, you can actually go to the Converged Church website, convergedchurchomaha.org, and click Give. And then there's going to be another click there on the next page, Give Online Now. And then you'll find an option kind of in the upper right-hand corner where you can click. We'll give you the option of the Ukraine Fund. And whatever you give, I guarantee, will directly go to a local church that we're working with in Ukraine that is daily helping the refugees that are coming through their town. About 500 new refugees are coming through their town every single day. And so we are providing resources for them to buy food and water and medical needs and medical equipment to help those refugees. And so let's again pray that this war comes to an end soon. Thank you for being part of 7 to 9 minutes, and we'll move on to a different topic next time we're together. Take care, and the Lord bless.